Does anybody see Vladimir Tarasenko possibly playing on the left side on the second line, or sorry, right side on the first line, and Claude Giroux being moved to left wing on the second line? I know Drake Batherson said he would move over to the left if he needed to. There's going to be some tinkering. What do you guys think of Tarasenko being moved to the top right side?
I don't have a problem with it, but I do think one of Tarasenko's biggest strengths is coming down the left and cutting to the middle for that off, that I guess you would call it his strong side, but off foot shot. So you're kind of taking away one of the things that he really excels at. That being said, I don't know where it starts, but I think this top six is going to have a lot of movement early on until you find what works chemistry-wise most of the time. There's going to be a lot of movement between Tarasenko, Giroux, Batherson. The only thing that I don't see changing would be Chucky and Stützle for any period of time. But I like the idea because Giroux can put up points anywhere. He's more of a disher for Norris, who's more of a shooter. So I could see it. I think you will see it at some point in training camp.
Yeah, it's going to take some tinkering. Like, look at last year, for example, the beginning of the year, the Sens got off to a bad start. You had those two power plays going, 1A, 1B, which is going to happen again, by the way. And it's going to take a little bit of time. And don't forget, it's going to take a little bit of time for Josh Norris to get his timing back. It's one thing to skate in the summer, but it's totally different once the game starts. And the exhibition just comes at you so quick. There's going to be an adjustment period there. So, yeah, I could actually see, and I said this early in the summer, I could see them going back to that line with Norris, with Tkachuk, with Batherson. I just think they have chemistry from the past, and I know how good Stützle and Tkachuk played last year, but Brady can play with anybody.
Yeah.
Brady, and so can Timmy. Like, good players, it doesn't matter. Good players can play with anybody. So I don't think anything's carved in stone. I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see that old line together.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's the other thing is that line has chemistry, and right now you got guesswork because you have two new faces, and I mean one by being Josh Norris because he wasn't in your top six last year, right? So you have two new faces, and you got to figure out where. And Josh is not up to I think people think that he's going to come back in and be that 35 goal scorer. You got to give him time. He missed a year of hockey. You need to surround him with guys that are both offensively capable of putting him in position and defensively letting him get up to par. So he's not going to be the guy that put 50 points up right away. He will get there. He's a young kid, but he's also a young that missed a year of hockey. So you got to have a little grace for him coming back.
Yeah. This is the National Hockey League. There's no time for patience, Bobby.
There really isn't, but there has to be when you got a guy that's making 8.
It's going to be really interesting because there's so much talk of when Michael Adler comes in, of what's going to happen. Like, the Senators have to win, and for DJ Smith, he's on a 1-year deal. Pierre Dorian, we've heard all the rumors about Steve Stais, possibly. Who knows what's going to happen with the front office? So I just think they're going to put Vladimir Tarasenko in the best possible position to succeed because you want to look really good for making that signing. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays with Tim Stützle because that's your best center. All due respect to Josh, but from what he did last year, I could just see those two guys playing together because you got the shooter and you got the guy that's going to hold the puck and bring guys to him. So if you want to see Tarasenko be the 35 goal scorer instead of the 18 goal scorer he was last year, you're going to put him in with your best player. And I think that's going to be something the general manager is really going to want to do.
Bobby, I'm going to put this to you. So we make a big deal about left and right wing because we think that that's where all the players just stay all the time. Tell me, so when you're in the offensive zone, does it really matter if you are listed as a left or right winger? Is it not just where you're breaking out along the walls for the most part in your own end?
The wall part, breaking out, is the hardest part to the biggest adjustment that you make. But I think people, when you get below the top of the circles, none of that matters. You're F1 or 3, right?
Right.
What matters is entries look a lot different. Putting him on the left will give him more offensive things to do at the blue line because he'll be on his forehand more. But he's made a very good career out of coming down on the right, cutting to the left. Now you're taking that away, and if he makes that cut, he's on his backhand, and that puts him in a,
So
it's a hard spot to be.
Yeah. So Bob, if you've got, and I watched Tarasenko a lot in the past. I know the exact play. Comes down as offside, cuts to the middle. So if you want that, don't you want your best net driver with him? Because the only way that move works is if somebody drives the net.
Yeah, somebody's got to be backing off the D.
Who's your best net driver?
In the center position?
Well, you can see Brady, like he's auto net drive, right?
Well, yeah. I guess it doesn't matter. Everybody gets to hang back when Brady's got the tunnels on. I'm going hard to the net and not thinking. It's a great point. Brady has a way to back guys off just by his size, so that opens up a lot of ice underneath for a guy like Tarasenko to cut across. So I would actually like to see it, but the hardest transition for him will be in the defensive zone because it does feel different when you're on your forehand. Like I moved to the left when I came into the league, and it was a learning curve. You're just seeing the ice differently, and you're on your backhand, and that's the number one rule most coaches have: don't make plays on your backhand. But putting me off my offside, it's going to have to happen.
I see a lot of wingers now with breakouts because everybody now loves the breakout, which is D go back up to the wing, then the wing zips it across to the far D on the breakout who's coming through that low seam. Yeah, that seems to be a move a lot of guys that are on their offside have a little bit better time doing because you're going underneath. You're making that pass underneath the forecheck. It's too bad we didn't have a little blackboard here, but I see guys on their offside having a way easier time doing that.
Yeah,
it kind of because you got to wait that extra second before you hit it underneath that seam. So, and to Wally, to your point too. When forwards come back in the zone, it's who's ever the first back is playing down low. So there's way too much brought into the fact of center and this and that. It's F1, F2, F3 on the forecheck and the back check.
That was my only point is, are we making too big of a deal of Tarasenko, but being right or left wing? And if he's on the right in his own end, then he's not on his backhand to get the pucks.
Yeah.
True.
So that's anyway. Once you start flying down the wing, it doesn't matter. And then you're scoring goals left, right, and center, and you're all of a sudden everybody's a 50-goal scorer.
Yeah.
All right, good. By the way, Yorkie, I just put in the ad blackboard to Yorkie for budget this season. We do use technical wizardry, but you want a blackboard like it's 1981.
I want a blackboard so we can do the Howie Meeker. We stop it right there.
All right. So we put the lines back up in the local paper by a local journalist. DJ Smith said Kubalik and Joseph can play both sides. At the end of the day, it's not about a top six and bottom six. It's about the best team. It is best to have guys mix up and try to beat a team on. Is it best to have guys mix up and try to beat a team on depth? To dumb it down, to give up less, you've got to have the puck more. Well, that's obviously fair, but. Do we see like Kubalik and Joseph switching spots? One thing about this whole team before everybody gets excited, Shane Pinto is unsigned, as we all know, at RFA. This lineup, as it's constructed, giving Shane Pinto a new contract doesn't work. It's not cap compliant, but that's for a later day, and that's when the training camp is over and they have to submit their roster into the league. So we'll get to that point later. So we're just building this roster as is at the moment. Do we see a point where, Kubalik and Joseph switch sides? Does it really matter at this point? We're going to see a ton of different looks in training camp.
I don't think it matters at this point. I think you're going to see, like you said, a ton of different looks. You're going to see a ton of different guys played in that third line center role until Pinto gets signed, who can elevate their game out of the guys, that Kastelik would be in that mix four in the center position. So I know, and I actually was always the same way. It doesn't really, whether you call it top six or bottom six. I never liked those terms, but at the same time, that's what we're looking at. Your bottom six is going to be ever changing. Bottom six changes more than anything else in hockey, I think. And when you bring a guy in, when one guy gets hurt, everything changes. So right now, sitting as it looks like that was and assuming Pinto gets signed, I think we'll see those guys flipped numerous times throughout the year on that left wing, right wing part.
Yeah, it's
the other interesting part. Go ahead, Yorkie.
Yeah, no, I know we're saving the Pinto stuff, but geez, you look at that roster and you're like, how do you make room for him if everybody stays healthy? Like it's a great conversation, but to me it always comes back to the same, because you're not getting rid of anybody in that top six. So
Yeah.
who's the next guy that makes the most money? It's Matthew Joseph.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Kublik's $2.5 million.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if one or the other happens to be injured at the start of camp.
Yeah.
Right? There's always an injury
There's
at
always
the start
something.
of camp.
Yeah.
There's always one like, oh, it's not ready yet. So we can just put him on and clear Shane Pinto to be in the lineup, and then we'll deal with it later. But there's always some stuff that happens right before the start of the season.
How about
Anyway, we'll see what that is when we get to
one guy that's probably praying for something to happen in that top six is Kubalik. Like we mentioned this in the summer,
Yes.
how his world has changed. It's like, man, I just got traded, and I was the major piece in the DeBrincat trade. I'm going to Ottawa. They need a top six. I'm a shooter. I'm on the power play. I'm on a 1-year deal. Everything's coming up Kubalik right now. Now all of a sudden, Tarasenko's here.
Wait a second. Yeah.
Hold on a second here. Okay, Bob. Oh,
Yeah.
It's like when you do the numbers and you're like in the top four, and your team trades from their D, and you're like, "Ooh, this isn't good."
One other point before we move on, I think we bring this up almost every show. Parker Kelly and Zach McEwen are on one-way deals. They have yet to. Well, Zach McEwen has yet to play a game for the Ottawa Senators, and yet people think he's not going to be in the lineup. Can we just stop this already? Zach McEwen will be there on day one, barring an injury, because that's why they signed him. They're not signing him to a one-way deal and then sending him to the minors. And Parker Kelly, unless he proves otherwise, is in that lineup based on his contract.
Yes. Yeah. One way. A lot's got to go wrong for a one-way guy to get waived to go to the minors to make $850 or whatever they're making down there.
Right.
A lot has to go wrong. So those guys, whether they're press box guys or lineup guys, they're there.
Like I get the numbers, not that big a deal at 762,500, but he's on a one-way deal. Teams, especially Ottawa, has it shown in the past, not big on sending down guys. I understand Del Zotto went down at 2.5. I know Matt Murray went down, but they're not trying to send guys on one-way deals to the minors.
And both of those had different kind of circumstances than this.
Correct.
Those were more, well, the Del Zotto thing was shaky from the get-go here. To say that'd be a good guess, eh? But that being said, they were different circumstances. You're not signing these guys to send them down at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, all right. I want to move on to the D quickly before we get into goaltending. Shabbat and Chikrin will be paired together, and then it's Sanderson and Zub paired as well. And then it's obviously Brandstrom, Hamonic, JBD and Klevin on the bottom 8, if you will. Like those guys are fighting for spots, but again, one-way deals factor in. Do you like Shabbat and Chikrin together?
Yorkie, defenseman, you got it.
Yeah, I listen. They're both really good defensemen. They both skate well. They both move the puck. Being two lefties, I don't think is a big deal. I think both of them are skilled enough. Like once you get on the ice, you'll end up playing left side or right side, depending on who goes back for pucks first. Like those guys are good enough where that's not going to matter. I just think it's more of a case of getting back and just trying not to do too much, because sometimes when you have two guys that have that much talent, you're like, okay, we're together now, we got to do some special things. No, you just got to move the puck quick. And instead of leading the rush, this is the trouble that defensemen get into when they get this much talent. The worst thing, and I know Bob could probably back this up, forwards hate when D lead the rush because they have to slow down.
Yeah,
someone's going to cover the point.
Yeah, get it and support it. Like that pairing should have a fourth guy in the attack, maybe a fifth guy every single time they're on the ice, and that's where, if you want to not play in your own zone that much, have two guys like that that'll get in the hands of your forwards quicker, and they'll be great at keeping pucks in because they're so quick, they're so agile. I like it. I always liked playing if I played with a really good puck moving defenseman. something I wasn't too bad at either. It's a lot of fun. Talented guys love to play with talented guys. So I think it's a good thing. And then you look at that other pairing, Zub. I thought last year there was some times when they played really well, Sanderson and Zub. I thought that was a pretty good pairing. So yeah, I think it's a good start. But just like the forwards, it's just a starting point. So that could change. Like who knows with camp too? Like nothing's set in stone. Like who knows what's going to happen with Brandstrom? I think Bernard Docker is going to come in and have a really good camp. Like people forget young defensemen change dramatically in an off season. Like having a full year in the minors, he got called up a little bit. Now he has a full summer, and that's the difference between guys like him and a guy like a Hamonic, for example. Hamonic has had a great career, but this is the best he's ever going to be, and where Bernard Docker is going to get better. The question is, when does that happen? And to me, could happen at camp. You never know. So nothing's set in stone as far as I'm concerned with the bottom six, minus a couple guys. And that bottom 3D, I think that's very interchangeable.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I love Chychrun and Shabby together. I think they're going to be a ton of fun, to watch from the red line down, as long as they'll get tons of leeway as long as they make the right decisions and think defense first. So I like the combo. I think those two can really, really feed off each other.
Yeah.
A quick question about that is, do loyalties matter? Meaning JBD is a defenseman picked by the Ottawa Senators and Pierre Dorian. DJ Smith just wants to win hockey games. Does it matter at that point if it's a toss-up of who they may put in the lineup?
No, everything right now, as far as this coaching staff is concerned, you do whatever it takes to get off to a good start.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
So that's Travis Hamonic. Because you want a guy that's been there and done a lot of hockey.
If he's playing the best, he'll play.
Yeah.
Like this team cannot get off to a bad start, because everybody knows if they do, there'll be changes made right away. So it's no different than any other team. You got to win.
Yeah, sure. But they also can't experiment at the beginning of the season.
No, they'll experiment in camp. They'll experiment in preseason. But once it's opening roster day, they're not like, there's some teams that'll say, okay, we're going to give this draft pick his 10 games to see how he does. That ain't happening this year with the Sens.